You've been healing people naturally for around 50 years.
Yeah.
What would you say? Is there anything that comes to mind with maybe one of the most remarkable stories? I know you've even healed people who have been like in a wheelchair, had
Oh, yeah.
neurological problems, and you're 73. You look
Every-
amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Do you think that we can still heal and properly detox and live our best lives without doing like a deep detox and deep cleanse, but only eating raw foods for like the long term?
I do. I think in time the body will regenerate itself. It depends how deep your genetics are, how bad your lymphatic system is, to how level you want to get to. I'm into the fruits, berries, and melons levels because we're frugivores.
And why do you think some people heal on the carnivore diet? You know, there's lots of people are confused these days because they go on YouTube and people are like, I heal on the vegan diet, I heal on the carnivore diet.
Yeah,
And you know, people say on my
you
channel
know,
all the time, people are healing on that. Why do you think that is? Or why do
I,
you
I,
think?
I flatly disagree. When you're in a spinal cord scenario and MS, you're not going to heal eating proteins. And if you do, you'll just have to show me the cases because I don't see any of that. The raw milks, they tout how good it
Hmm.
is for you and how they feel energized. They feel stimulated. And then they come back and the tumors have grown, they get congested again and all this. As a matter of fact, I just read one case where the gentleman went back to proteins and raw milks and then bam, there he goes back again. So, bottom line, I've been doing this video, hard to fool me. I've been
Hmm.
around a lot. I've seen all levels of diets and things like that. So it's hard when you make claims out there. A lot of people make claims, but we show you the results of tissue regeneration. And I'm heavily into tissue regeneration. Like you see that on our drmorse.tv. You see where I took a toe. They wanted to amputate the toe from a diabetic. I rebuilt the whole toe. As a matter of fact, a young child, his dad kind of broke most of his bones and lost a quarter of his brain. And we regenerated that young man through his mother's milk. Shows you the
Wow.
power of doing it that way.
Unbelievable. That's
It is pretty
remarkable.
cool to see tissue regeneration, and you're not going to do it on a protein acid diet.
Yeah.
Acids do not regenerate nothing. I don't care who makes those claims. That's
Hmm.
on the cationic side of chemistry, the corrosive side of chemistry, and this is man's problems. Too acidic.
Hmm. Absolutely. And say we don't have like severe problems like MS or something like that, but we're just not feeling great. We feel like crap. We have like some health problems, but like nothing like life threatening, and we know we need to change our habits. What do you think is like the best step to take or like the ideal cleanse for people in that situation?
And I would probably do fruits in the morning because it's always breaking the fast from the night before. So I'd have a fruit breakfast. If you want your big salad for lunch or and a green drink or something, fine, or some big salad and
Hmm.
some steamed vegetables, something like
Hmm.
that. And then at night, go to bed with fruit in your gut. In other words, another light
Mm.
meal. You'll dream better, have more lucid dreaming, and that sort of thing. If you wanted some cooked foods, do it in the middle of the day with a salad with it.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. And do you believe in intermittent fasting? What are your thoughts on that?
Fasting is where you're going to dig deeper.
Hmm.
When you start going into water fasting, the dry fasting sort of things, even let's say a mono fruit diet, I would recommend that before I jumped off into a water fast. Again, we were just talking about this
Hmm.
very thing on today's video about water fasting and things. You want to get your kidneys filtering. That's key to understand what that means, and it's key to understand your lymphatic system. You only have two fluid-based systems in your body, and if you don't understand the lymphatic system, what allopathic medical people do not, then that leaves them at odds in understanding why their symptomology. So everything becomes diseases, autoimmune problems, and they can't cure anything. Use toxic pharmaceuticals to treat symptoms, suppression of symptoms. And that doesn't give anybody but worse, worse, worse.
I did the grape cleanse. I did that cleanse about a year ago. And I've done a lot of different cleanses, juicing, different mono fruit cleanses, whatever. And that was the deepest cleanse I ever felt in my entire life. So why do you
Oh,
think the grape, and especially through my sinuses and my
yeah,
lungs and my breathing,
yeah,
I felt
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
why do you think the grapes have such a detoxing effect on the body? And I think they're so underrated, right?
They are not only hydrating at a high level because they're just so electron rich, astringent rich, and they're flavonoid rich. That's your vitamin C complexes, root, and all that. So they
Hmm.
just have such a power on the body in terms of hydration and the regeneration. Their consciousness is so high. I can only say that, in genetic remembering of cells, the fruit really change your genetic stance. They quiet the mind. They create more lucid dreaming. They allow you to move your consciousness more at will. Your mind hasn't got such a struggle hold on you. Your emotions become soothed out because your adrenal glands then increase their performance. And so you move out of this stressed, kind of anxiety ridged person into a strong, mind controlling individual, and you become more conscious. Instead of the mind controlling you, you end up controlling the mind. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what we try to teach with this is spirituality, how to wake up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And do you think if people don't have access to the herbs, they can still do the grape cleanse just with grapes?
Oh, I
And
do.
do you
I
think
do.
that they have to be organic grapes? Because I know it can be very hard to get access to non to organic grapes.
No, you know what? Just like you said, most of our clients don't have access to organics. So all I say is veggie wash, veggie wash, get the pesticides and herbicides because they're neurotoxins. So you want
Mm-hmm.
to get those off of them, but absolutely hit anything you can find in the world we live, anything you can find that's halfway good. Mango's hard to get. You know, things are hard to get that's really, really good that they don't pick so unripe, and then by the time you get them, they're fermented really bad, or you have to sit there and let them ferment because the banana is the only fruit that actually ripens nutritively after it's picked unripe. Everything else is on the fermentation side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Bad.
Well, you talked a little bit about consciousness, and okay, I just love your spiritual side. When you get into talking about spirituality, it just hits me to the core. I love the depth you have with all of that. And I just want to ask too, so you say, well, foods obviously do have their own consciousness and how we eat affects us and right, thoughts and everything like that. So how do you think how we eat affects us, like physically, mentally, and maybe our thoughts and who we become? Why
Well,
does the food have the power to do that?
oh yeah, well everything is vibration. I mean, you can look at this physical world very mundane, the lowest actually on the ladder of creation in the God worlds. It's very chemical, but even chemistry is electrical. And so, we look at the electricity of things, but if you leave this world, you're now in the astral worlds. Now you're into more electromagnetic frequencies that are without the chemical side of that. As you pull more up into the causal or the lower mind, now you're even getting more electric. And from there, you lose form into the pure mind, the cosmic consciousness levels, and you're heading more to pure consciousness and out of duality. Yeah, you lose form, you lose everything becomes the one again, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But as you get down below the what they call the universal or pure mind, everything is very dualistic. In other words, you have male, female, acid, base, positive, negative, those sort of things, past, future, and those are only the illusionary concept of creation that your forms play in. So if
Mm-hmm.
you want to have a form and you want to play and have things and have relationships and play all the games of creation, you have to have a form to do it in. You have to have duality. So pure energy has to become dualistic. You have to have two sides to it. But when you get beyond that in your awareness, you're not dualistic. You're pure consciousness. But to get into creation and play those games, you have to take on duality form. And that's so I try to get people to change their perspective instead of looking from the physical form into the God worlds, look from the God worlds down into form.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
can
Okay.
only do that by living in the now. You can't do that through the mind because the mind is dualist. The mind can't cure itself. It's a programmable instrument. So
Mm-hmm.
anything you think, all these are conditioned thoughts and things like this. Same thing with emotions. They're only your tools, your play tools, your vehicles, so to speak, to play around and drive and experience all the ups and downs of duality. But truly, you as an individual are not dualistic. You're not embodied. You're pure awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And to get there, you can only do that in the present moment, in the now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, well said. And I know people come on my channel from like time and again, and they say, Jillian, we're on a planet of polarity and we are meant to eat the denser foods like animal products. So I'm wondering your opinion on that.
Uh, yeah, that's a cop out. That's all a cop out type of thinker. And those people that get lost in those type of thoughts, have fun with them because you'll suffer for that.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the species, I've done a lot with looking at all the different vertebrates. We only look like one, sorry, and we're
Mm-hmm.
96% genetically the same as primates. So we're into the frugivore levels. And when you get into the frugivore levels, example is neurological conditions. We're the most electrically, neurologically, even over primates. Look at
Mm-hmm.
what we create. Now, of course, we have dualistic sides, so we destroy like we create. If you look around, we're on a warring planet, and we're we don't treat each other at the high levels that you would like to see. But when you say I need to eat meat for health, that's a cop out. You don't need you you want to get rid of animal products out of your life, and you'll feel such a difference. If
Mm-hmm.
you need animal products, that means your adrenal glands are real low. You're looking for stimulants, because if you look at what a piece of meat is, it's dead tissue. It's just dead tissue and
Mm-hmm.
stagnant blood. And you're claiming that's healthy. It's like, really? The
Mm-hmm.
nutrition isn't there. I mean, it's nothing to, if you look at mother's milk of the Homo sapien, radically different. I mean, the protein level of mother's human milk is so low. It's the lowest in terms of lipids and carbohydrate. So
Mm-hmm.
even in herbivores, the protein side is not the highest side.
Mm-hmm. And it's an energy thing too, the animal products, and the way their lives are taken and
Oh,
just all those like stress hormones
yeah,
and it's the energy you're taking on too.
yeah,
That's what I don't like about it too.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
just some people just polarize to those lower levels of consciousness or states of consciousness. And okay, go ahead. But for those beings that want to experience a higher level and a more humble and loving level, then you want to get out of killing animals and animal products. Don't need the cheeses, don't need the milks. They just clog the sinuses and the lungs and
Mm-hmm.
create tumors and things like that.
I want to ask you, I know that you say what we engage in, negative or positive, is what we are creating because we are creators of our life. So I know it can be a little bit frustrating, maybe though, if our life isn't going great. Maybe in every area we're feeling so defeated and we find it so hard to stay positive. And then to hear things like that can be even more stressful because it's like, man, I'm the creator of my own life and everything is going wrong. So how do you like financially or health or whatever it might be? How do you think people can turn that around when they just feel no more hope and they feel no more faith left and they're negatively creating and they want to turn it and create the life of their dreams and turn things around to a positive?
Find a place where you can be totally alone. Go into your closet, go into the woods, find a place where you can spend time with yourself, and you start loving yourself. You start realizing, do a little meditation, allow yourself to slip past the physical world, past the emotional worlds. Start living in the present moment and be the observer. Just watch how things are put together here and just start again living in that present moment. Start changing that diet a little bit. Get rid of the animal products. Start eating more fruits, berries, and melons. Realize that when you get up in the morning, you're breaking the fast from the long night before. Have a fruit meal. Then have a salad or some cooked foods if you want at lunch, but then have a light fruit meal at night. Or eat all the fruit you want. Have a bowl this big. Who cares how much you eat? It's not how much you eat, it's what you
Mm-hmm.
and just slowly let things go. Because most people have adrenal gland issues, as you know. And those adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys. So they control your immune system, your lymphatic system. They control your emotions. This is where anxiety is because it controls your autonomic nervous system. That's your neurotransmitters. That's your upper blood pressure number. That's your breathing. That's your heart pumping. So that's where your anxieties come in.
Mm-hmm.
Depression comes from the parathyroids, but anxiety is all neurological. That's your adrenals. Get your adrenal glands in shape. Take a glandular or get into the botanicals for the adrenal gland, or take licorice root if you have low blood pressure and start working on those. And then letting your emotion things go. Don't identify with your own thoughts and emotions because somebody could be feeding your brain thoughts. There are a lot of psychics out there and a lot of beings from other places right now visiting us. So most people are very weak. Humans are very weak in their minds, very easy to control them. And so you got to get out of your mind. Your power is in you, your awareness. And you're not your mind, you're only using that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a computer. Your mind only is going to put out what you program it or someone else has programmed it. Your governments, your schools, your churches or synagogues, whatever religion you're in. But the living reality is you always beyond all your embodiments. You're going to lose your physical someday. You're going to lose your astral body sometime. You're going to lose your mind, so to speak, sometime. But there's still the living truth, you there. And the only way you find that is in the alone state. You live
Mm-hmm.
alone, you're born alone, you live alone, you die alone here. And so you're always alone. You generally bring everything in to occupy your attention so you don't feel it. So if you want to get strong, get used to yourself in the alone state. Studied iridology way back in naturopathic school. I got my first iris camera in the 70s, and I just fell in love with it because you could see the tissues of the human body. You could see the genetics. And
Mm-hmm.
so without the eye, I was just had my lead counselor on YouTube with me this morning, and she feels the same way. Without the eye, you feel naked because you know symptomology, it's easy to understand what's going on if you understand the body at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a school, you take our courses, it's easy to understand. But without the eye, you can't see the level of your problems, the genetic stance of your tissues, your cells in the body. And that's where helping those levels with botanicals really do make a big difference. I
Mm-hmm.
found that botanicals are just the magic healers of the planet. Even
Wow.
though vegetables, they're still the magic healers. They come with a twist. They have a consciousness. So herbs are not for diseases. There's no that's a man-made, that's a Rockefeller thing. However, you've got body parts, you've got livers, you've got pancreases, you've got hearts. Well, there's herbs for hearts, there's herbs for pancreases, there's herbs for livers, there's herbs for the lymphatic system, there's herbs for the blood flow, there's herbs for neurons, there's herbs for all the body parts. And so that's how I put my formulas together was, learning which herbs are good for which body parts and which are the most powerful herbs for those body parts.
Fascinating.
Mhm.
Fascinating. Well, when I was little, so my eyes were green, right? And then or no, sorry, my eyes were blue when I was first born and when I was little. And then they changed to green. So for a couple decades they were green. And then when I went raw vegan over the last few years, they've gone back to blue.
Oh,
So I'm
thank you.
wondering, why do you think that is? And do you see that with a lot of your patients, the
Oh,
eye color
absolutely.
change happening as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Initially, there's only two colors of eyes, brown or blue. And the
Hmm.
day you're born, that's the
Wow.
color eyes you have. Like
Hmm.
you said, yours were blue. That's your true color.
Hmm.
Green eyes, you have to look around the pupil and you either have orange or brown. Orange is going to be sulfur and brown is going to be chronic lymphatic stagnation. Because you can take a blue eye and it'll turn brown. I have blue eyes here that are almost totally brown from chronic lymphatic congestion in the body. So
Wow.
your eye color turns to the level of your lymphatic conditions.
Hmm.
So your eyes can go from, let's say, blue to white, just really lots of white. That's
Hmm.
acute lymphatic stagnation. White then turns yellow.
Hmm.
Yellow then turns brown, but it gives a green cast to it. And then, of course, sulfurs are orange. If you have orange around your pupil or in your eye, that's sulfur, and sulfur is a booger bear. It loves GI tract tissue. A lot of people have been on sulfur drugs, so it's a real booger bear. You got to
Wow.
get it out. You'll see it coming out in your stools and in your urine if it hit the lymph nodes. But sulfur is very gastro. It creates gassy, bloaty problems all the time. You can't eat cruciferouses because that accentuates the problem, that sort of thing.
Wow.
And medical
Interesting.
doctors used to give sulfur for everything.
Hmm.
Sulfur cures everything. No, it doesn't. Nobody likes sulfur gases.
Hmm.
Uh-uh.
Hmm.
Uh, Fruits and berries and melons are full of water, electrical water, mineral rich water. And so as you hydrate, you don't get thirsty. You only get thirsty
Hmm.
when you dehydrate. You eat
Yeah.
cooked foods, you eat your meats and stuff like that. Yeah, that's when you're sucking down the water.
Yeah, exactly. That's when if I have a cheat day and have something cooked, I'm so dehydrated. But as a raw
Exactly.
Buddhist, I never feel like I need water unless I'm eating nuts or like some avocado or like some like more I
Exactly.
yeah. And do you think some people, if they have detox and healed completely and they're feeling amazing, that they can incorporate animal products in small amounts as long as they're eating healthy otherwise
Well,
and still be good?
if you're going to do that, I recommend that you put a piece of fish or a piece of chicken with your salad.
Mm-hmm.
Don't add grains to it because proteins and starches do not mix at the same meal. But at least your salads are full of enzymes, and that'll help buffer some of the proteins. So I always say if you're going to have a little meat, have a big salad with it. Don't have your potatoes or breads or anything else.
And do you feel like all of this, like all the help you've done with healing and everything you've done has truly been your purpose in life and you didn't have
Sure.
this before? Yeah.
Well, my whole gig is waking you up and then
Mm-hmm.
introducing you to to yourself, who you are. And that frees you from the earthly change of karma and stuff like this. So with the masters and I've always been into health and the magic of herbs. So we all talked it over and thought that going this way was the best way to help people wake up. My thing, health is easy for me. That's like waking up in the morning. It's getting you to wake up to who you really are is my gig, and helping you
Mm-hmm.
to get free of all your karma and creating all this karma for yourself. The advice for the mental health part is to go after your thyroid and parathyroid glands. That's where your depression. When you look at bipolar and schizophrenia, you're looking at your endocrine glands. You're looking at the parathyroid specifically and the adrenal glands specifically. All this stuff is fixable. These are not actually mental health problems. They're actually physiological problems that can be fixed very easily. And so going after the adrenals and going after the parathyroid, and basically the endocrine gland system, And that's the only hiccup that I talk about in our videos is learning the difference whether you have a pituitary weakness or not. But that's what you have to get into. Same thing, get your kidneys filtering, get these acids out, get this inflammation out. And this will help to enhance the function of these tissues. And then you start utilizing calcium again. Your structure starts getting strong again. Your nails get strong again. You start having a smile on your face. Your nerve
Mm-hmm.
transmission gets better. Your adrenals, you get more emotionally strong. You're not a leaf blowing in the wind emotionally and things like this. So you
Mm-hmm.
start taking control of your own destination, your own world, because after all, you're the only thing that exists.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
True.
why I say take some time and get yourself alone. Spend some time by yourself and get used to yourself. Give yourself a hug, not just physically. Who are you? You
Mm-hmm.
know, your body dies sometimes, so that's not you. And so learn to have some out of body travels if you want, but it's easier to learn how to stop thinking. And that is simply become the observer instead of the thinker. Start
Mm-hmm.
watching, just start looking and watching.
Mm-hmm.
Don't engage thought.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm wondering, do you have any tips for people who they want to eat clean or they want to detox, but they have a really hard time with the cravings and they give in
Yeah.
because of the cravings?
Use the parasite formulas, use parasite energy or use parasite botanicals and get this fungus out of you. Bacterium, I'm not interested in those guys. They're more for the acids in the body. You need
Mm-hmm.
them in your lymph nodes. You need them in your gut tissue. So I'm not I love the bacterial community, but fungus, yeah, a lot of fungus among us because we're starch. We love complex sugars, you know, and so we have a lot of fermentation issues. People combine protein and starches at the same meal, and that sets up fermentation. So
Mm-hmm.
the way you combine your food sets up the need for fungus. And so all these, and then you want to deworm yourself. If you're going to count deficiencies, you have to first fix proper digestion, proper absorption, proper utilization, and proper elimination. Then you can say, well, this gave me a deficiency and that sort of thing. The problem is when you fix those things, nothing makes you deficient because your
Wow.
body will use everything out of the least little thing. You can go look at most animals; they're mono eaters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to a human, a mono diet, holy moly, no! You can. Where's all your nutrition? You need all your amino acids and all the
Mm-hmm.
bull crap that's out there. All lies.
Wow.
So
Wow.
all I can say is have fun with this. Change the way you want to operate. If you're not happy with your life, change it because no one else can. Not a
Mm-hmm.
psychiatrist, no one can, only you. Spend time alone, understand thought and emotion as part of your experiences, but you yourself are consciousness. Learn
Mm-hmm.
how to be alone and also to observe instead of think. Get a hold of your mind, don't use your mind. And have some fun out. Relax.
Mm-hmm.